Thank you. Please be seated.
I see you guys forced David to have the last piece of cake. Okay. Continue on, Mr. Bias.
Thank you, Your Honor. Madam Prosecutor. Okay, Detective, we left off, and I asked you if anyone had advised you, or did you learn that the literature shows that perhaps these doses could extend the life?
Objection, Your Honor. I believe that's been asked and answered.
I'm bringing up where we left off.
Okay, I'll give you a little leeway, but let's get to it.
You recall that question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you recall speaking to a Derek Dreyer?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall that he mentioned that there's a lot of research out there?
Objection, hearsay.
Rephrase.
Sure. Did you learn that there was a lot of research out there from Mr. Dreyer?
Objection,
Wow.
hearsay.
Okay. Did
Sustained.
you learn? I'll rephrase it. Did he bring to your attention that there's research out there that shows, or could potentially show, that these doses in fentanyl could
Objection,
extend life?
hearsay, Your Honor.
I'm just asking.
Okay, I'll let that question go. Do you understand the question?
Could you repeat it one more time, please?
He asked you if, during your interview with a particular witness, did you come to an understanding, I think is the word he was looking for, as to the issue of the acceptance of the dosage? Does that adequately cover it?
There's research that it prolongs life as opposed to this.
Do you remember anything like that?
Could I look at my summary here real quick with Mr. Dreyer?
Let us save time, go ahead.
No problem.
I know, we're talking, all those people talking at the same time, and this class stinks. While he's looking at that, ladies and gentlemen, we may switch courtrooms. I know you guys are having problems up here, and it's driving me a little crazy. Okay? So it'll be a little bit more compact, though. Okay? Well, I know, the coffins, I get it, okay? That's the running joke for those things. But we're investigating that there because under court order, this is a joint courtroom, and I can't tear those down. Okay, you up to snuff there?
Just about, sir. All right, Mr. Baez, I'm looking at his summary here, and
Does that refresh your memory to answer his question?
yes, sir. I don't see anywhere in here where he's saying that it extends life.
If I showed you a transcript, might that refresh your recollection as to what actually
Okay,
was said?
well, let's ask it in proper format.
Sure.
You're going from a different way.
Sure. Would it refresh your recollection if I showed you the transcript, sir?
Yes, sir.
Of the interview?
We do not have a copy of any of these transcripts.
I have shown counsel the
You did
portion.
show me that one, but just for a minute.
Okay,
Certainly didn't have the chance to verify authenticity.
I understand. Okay. You have a certified transcript.
Yes, I have the transcript.
Okay, that was my question.
I'm
You
sorry.
have a certified transcript.
Yeah. Okay. I have a transcript. It's not certified. I believe I can still use it to refresh his recollection, but I also have the audio, if need be, to play for him.
Okay. You can show it to him.
May I approach?
You
Your
may.
Honor, I believe this can be based solely upon hearsay again. Mr. Dreyer will be here to testify. He can ask these questions to Mr. Dreyer.
Well, I understand that, but he's trying to refresh his memory as to the interview. I'll permit it.
Approach, Your Honor.
Yeah, we can approach. Ladies and gentlemen, talk amongst yourselves. David must be still enjoying his cake in the back. Oh, David, get out there. Darcy threw you under the bus today. They expect juggling. Okay? He's got back injuries, ladies and gentlemen. He was entertaining.
And then a couple lines after to refresh your recollection.
Okay. Okay.
Does that refresh your memory?
Yes, sir. He did say that in the interview.
Okay.
Okay, then that puts us in the problem. We're talking about your understanding,
Yes, sir.
okay?
So, sir, after finding this out, did you, after finding out that these doses, that there's research out there that potentially these doses could extend life and not hasten it, did you ask any follow-up questions that would be after that?
No. Anybody that we asked follow-up questions to all told us the same thing.
In fact, the very next thing you say is, I can't think of anything else, right?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, my question to you is, after getting this information, did you do research to see if perhaps there is literature and studies out there that show that fentanyl, given that end-of-life care, could potentially extend life as opposed to hastening it?
No, I don't recall.
You mentioned earlier to this jury that you follow the evidence, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I realize that this information is not what you may have been looking for, but don't you feel it was your responsibility to follow that?
Yes, sir.
Now, you also uncovered, sir, that there were essentially two pharmacists who brought this to the attention of the pharmacy manager, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that other pharmacist was Mr. Dresbach, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, now, now you know that Mr. Dresbach was involved in Rebecca Walls' case, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that was for 1,000 micrograms, right?
Correct.
Okay. Did you know that he also approved Ryan Hayes 2,000? Just a year earlier?
No, I did not.
Okay. You eventually got the medical records, right?
Yes, sir.
And you, well, at that time, you also had the date and Ryan Hayes' dose amounts, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you knew about this, that they had previously, both him and Schroyer, had previously approved these dose amounts in the past. Did you ever go back and ask them, why now?
No, I did not.
And then once the issue of diversion came up, I know you didn't know what it means, but once the issue of theft of drugs came up, did you think that maybe that's the issue that started this whole thing? Since they had previously approved doses even higher?
We didn't find any evidence of that, so no.
Meaning, any evidence of what, diversion?
Right. We didn't find any evidence that anybody had been stealing any medications.
And that's because you didn't even know what diversion was, right?
Correct.
Okay. So,
But I know what theft of medications is.
You know what that is, but if a witness tells you something that you don't understand,
Okay.
the police work
Asked and answered.
I'm asking a different question. If someone tells you something you don't understand during the course of an investigation, good police work means, let me ask them, what do you mean by that, right?
Correct?
Okay. You didn't do that in this case,
No, I didn't.
this important murder case.
Okay, let's rephrase.
Now, there was a lot that you didn't understand about what they were telling you, correct?
Yes, sir.
In fact, you were hearing phrases and procedures that you're not familiar with, right?
Yes, sir.
And they were explaining to you why they approved the doses that they approved, right?
Why the pharmacist?
Yes.
Some of the doses they didn't approve. It was pushed through
I'll get to that in a
during the
minute.
override.
I'll get to that in a minute. But for the ones that you did discuss with them, that they approved, they gave you the reasons why, right?
As far as why they approved it,
Yeah.
I don't know that we asked them. I assumed that if they felt the dose was
Objection, Your Honor, if he doesn't know, assumption is inappropriate.
Yeah, I don't want you to assume.
oh,
All right,
sorry.
Detective Gillette, are you telling this jury that you never even asked the pharmacist why they approved the dose amounts in this case for a murder case?
Which dose amounts are you talking about?
Now, I'm speaking generally because I don't want to get into hearsay. When you're questioning a pharmacist, I recognize some remembered, some didn't, right?
Right.
Okay. So the ones that they remembered, are you telling this jury you never asked them why they approved these dose amounts?
Some of them would say that they would talk to the.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained.
My question is, did you ask them why?
No.
Now, you found out today that they're 50% responsible for those.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Looking back, do you think that might have been a good question to ask them?
Yes, sir.
Now, part of your investigation as a detective is to investigate to see if there was any deception going on by way of any of the parties, correct?
Your
Yes.
Honor, I'm going to object in the approach.
Yes. Talk amongst yourselves, guys. I know you got new subject matter to discuss with your neighbor.
Yes, sir. Sir, part of being a detective is to look for things, well, let me rephrase that. When you're investigating someone, some of the things that you look for are perhaps if things are done out in the open or whether they're done in secret, right?
Yes, sir.
You came to know that each and every one of these orders are in the medical records, right?
Yes, sir.
And you also came to know that that there was never a question in terms of the orders, correct? As to the dose amounts.
A question that we posed? Did I ask her, what do you ask, a question about what?
That they were out in the open. There was no secret dose given in any of these patients to anyone.
No, sir.
Okay? So everything's in the medical records, right?
Yes.
And you also learn that there's a process, right? Of how the doses get administered.
Yes, sir.
You learn that the doctor either inputs the order or...
Objection, Your Honor, testifying.
If it's a summary, I'm gonna give them a little attitude.
And I'm just giving the process, I'm not.
Okay.
You understand that the doctor either enters the order or gives a verbal order, right?
Correct.
And then it goes to the nurse, right?
Yes.
And the nurse gets the medication or enters the order into the medical record, right? Or both?
You mean sends it to the pharmacist?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then the pharmacist is supposed to either approve or reject it, right?
Yes.
Now, are you aware, sir, that subsequent to all of this, there is an attending physician that reviews the entire medical record?
Say that again, it reviews the medical
Are you aware?
records
Yes.
of, as far as the dosages of the prescriptions? Is that what you're asking?
Let me ask it this way. Are you aware what an attending physician is?
Not, I mean, I assume he works with the doctor there.
Okay, you don't know,
I don't know, no.
okay?
Okay, so you don't know that what an attending physician is or what he or she is responsible for?
No, sir.
Did you investigate thoroughly the entire process
Objection, Your Honor.
of how these doses are administered and documented?
Okay. I'll permit it.
Yes, we thought we did, yes.
So you would have come across the discharge summary written by the attending physician in each and every one of these patients, right?
I don't remember seeing that. I said I suppose again. I don't remember seeing that.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
You don't
Your
remember?
answer.
She can't hear you, please.
What was
repeat.
your answer?
Repeat your answer.
I
You don't remember.
don't remember now.
Okay?
Okay. You got all the medical records, right?
Correct.
And at the end of, and the medical records are chronological, right?
Yes.
Okay, and at the very end of all the medical records of everyone who passed away at Mount Carmel, there is a physician that gives a summary of everything that occurred, right?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. We did not look at every.
Okay, relax. You don't have a question pending, okay? I know it's been a long afternoon.
You're saying you didn't look at every what, sir?
Every medical record. We didn't at the office. We did with the experts. Looking at those medical records, most of the stuff you don't understand, what everything is saying and things like that. So, we tried to look at a couple of them when we first got them, and we really couldn't make heads or tails out of them.
Since you couldn't make heads or tails out of these medical records, sir, did you at any time consult with a medical professional who could guide you through to ensure you're doing the right thing?
Yeah, Dr. Roth.
Okay. The guy who worked at Trinity.
Yes, sir.
And he sat down with you and went over each and every medical record.
Of the 22, the 25 that we got down to, he went over, the medical, we looked through all of them, and he went over everything with us.
Okay. My question to you is, he sat down with you and went over every single medical record and what's inside of it. Is that your testimony, sir?
Well, since you put it that way, not. He went over medical records with us. I can't tell you he went over all of them, but he went over the medical records with us and explained to us how, to look at these charts and so forth.
Okay. So, let's break this down, sir. Each and every one of these in yellow is a murder case, right?
Correct.
Okay. And it's a very serious thing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've asked that a couple times.
You as a detective know that it's your responsibility to investigate these things thoroughly, right?
Yes, sir.
So, when you say Dr. Roth from Trinity sat down with you, are you referring to a summary, an Excel spreadsheet summary that he went over with you?
No, he had the medical records. And like I said, I cannot sit here and tell you that he went over all 25 of them.
Who did you not go over with, Dr. Roth?
I can't tell you that either. I don't know, to be honest with you.
But you arrested this man for all of these, right?
Yes, sir.
And each and every one stands on its own as an individual case, right?
Correct.
But you didn't go through all of the medical records.
We knew that this was going to be a medical expert's case, is what this was going to boil down to, this case.
So in light of that, knowing that this was going to be a medical expert case, you just left it up to the experts.
Yes, we did. We had the experts look at it, go through all the medical records, and explain to us why each one of these cases should be part of this investigation.
And at no time did any of these experts go over these records and tell you to ask specific witnesses about A, B, C, or D.
No, sir.
And when you refer to experts, you're referring to the experts that were retained later on in this case, correct?
Correct.
I believe as early as March of 2019, correct? Or as late as March, I should say.
I can't answer that accurately. I'm not sure. I know there were experts that Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Lowe obtained.
3 months after you had talked to these witnesses, right?
Yes, sir.
And they are experts that are paid by the state from throughout the country, right?
I would assume so, yes. I don't know. I don't know. I know they're experts,
Now, I want to make sure I cover everything with you, sir. The first person you spoke with was Randy Miles, right?
Yes.
He's the manager of the pharmacy.
Correct.
Okay. He had never even met Dr. Husel, correct?
Best of my recollection, yes.
And had never spoken to him either, correct?
Correct.
Let me ask you, in all of this time, other than Timothy Fitzpatrick and Danny Millett, did anyone come to speak to Dr. Husel that you found out during your investigation and told him not to order these doses?
Did anyone go to Mr. Husel and say that?
Yeah.
From the hospital?
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
Okay. You became aware also, sir, that after he was fired, he was finally called in by Mr. Swanner, right?
Correct.
And Mr. Swanner advised you who was at that meeting?
I believe it was Dr. Swanner and Dr. Ralston, I
Yes.
believe.
And the two of them brought it to Dr. Husel's attention on November 26th, correct?
I believe that was the date, yes, sir.
That's after all of these, right?
Correct.
And that was the very first time anyone had ever spoken to him, right? As far as you know.
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. And when they spoke with him, Dr. Swanner decided that they were going to create a policy, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you become aware that subsequent to this conversation, they decided to start a policy?
Objection again, Your Honor.
Sustained without a foundation. Sustained.
Sir, when speaking to Dr. Swanner, he actually gave you a document outlining this meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you also had the opportunity to speak with him about this meeting, right?
Yes, my sergeant did.
And that would have been very important to you because that's the first time anybody talked to Dr. Husel, right?
Correct.
So in this document and also from your interviews of Dr. Swanner, you found out that now they were going to have a policy, correct?
I can't remember if they put a policy in after this or not. I mean, I was,
They did that.
I can't remember.
You learned that they were going to now create a new policy, right? Would it help you?
Yep. Can
refresh
I look at this?
Yes, get the note to chart, I think it's called.
Which summary is it?
Yes, the note to chart. It's in the center.
Okay. What
Yeah.
part of this are you asking
Look
about?
it over and see if it refreshes your recollection in relation to the policy.
Okay, yes, sir. I see it here at the bottom
Okay.
with Dr. Sanama.
Yes. Now, sir, it came to your attention that on November 26th, Mount Carmel Chief of Medicine decided that they're going to now have a policy for maximum doses of fentanyl, right?
Yes.
And that they wanted Dr. Husel to be part of that committee.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained.
Are you aware as to whether they wanted Dr. Husel to participate in creating these dose amounts?
Objection, hearsay.
Yeah, sustained.
This is a document that you received, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You picked it up from Mr. Swanner.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you at any time ask Dr. Swanner? You guys came to us thinking that this is a murder case, but yet you want him to create a new policy for you? Explain that,
Objection,
sir.
Your Honor,
Okay.
hearsay.
Sustained.
Did you ever follow up with Dr. Swanner and ask him why they wanted Dr. Husel to help create a policy?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you have any follow-up conversations with Dr. Swanner about this policy?
No, sir.
Never asked him a single thing.
No, sir.
Now, I want to go back to this specific process that we discussed, and I'm referring to Exhibit MCDZ, or is that a 2? 2, okay, 2. Sir, you came to, are you familiar with a scan to order is?
A scan to orders?
Yeah.
I would assume it's when you scan something in, it,
Objection,
You
Your
know
Honor.
you can assume.
Are you familiar with the phrase?
no,
You're not familiar with the phrase?
no, sir.
Okay, but it came to your attention during the course of your investigation that nurses were scanning the vials and that somehow that circumvented the pharmacy, right?
Say that again. They were,
Yeah, sure.
okay,
That they were scanning the vials,
right.
and by doing it this way, it circumvented or it never, let me rephrase it never went to the pharmacy.
But that, I know that as the override system is what, I know that as, that they can go in and override the Pyxis machine to get the medication out.
Okay? I think you're mistaken. And let's discuss.
Okay,
the-
well, let's ask a question.
Sure.
Your
Okay.
commentary is secondary.
Okay, sir, are you aware that there was a way that some nurses, on some occasions, were entering these orders and they didn't go to the pharmacy?
No, sir.
Never made aware of that?
No, sir.
Are you not aware, sir, that that's what sparked this whole thing, this whole case?
Objection
Was
has
this
been
thing-
answered.
Are you aware?
He's already told you he wasn't aware.
Okay. How did it come to the, how did Mr., well, let me strike that. Why did Talon Schroeder tell you, sorry, let me strike that. Why did you think Talon Schroeder brought this to the pharmacy manager's attention in the first place?
Objection, Your Honor, I don't believe he can talk about what Taylor Troyer was thinking.
Well, you can't speculate as to what he was thinking.
Yeah.
I think the question was, what did he think?
Yes.
And again, that would be a foundational issue.
Sir, you talked to Talon Schroeder,
Yes,
and you talked to him about how this whole case got started.
yes.
Okay, and in the process of which he explained that to you, right?
Yes.
What did you think brought this to his attention?
Objection speculative again.
Sustained.
The amount that was
Okay.
used?
Your Honor, I believe this is.
Sustained, he has to ask a new question.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to think of a way to ask this question in accordance with the rules. Give me a second. I know there's a way. He's telling me no. Detective, while you're investigating this case, you mentioned earlier that it's important for you to know how the case got started, right?
Right.
Are you saying that you don't know that this whole case started with a scandal order?
I know it first got started with, that was with Mr. Timmons, and that wasn't reported when we first had the meeting. It was just Walls and Penix.
Right? But when you spoke to Mr. Talon Schroyer, he told you why he complained to Mr. Miles, his manager, right?
Yeah, he thought it was an excessive
Objection,
dose.
Your Honor, as to what he said.
Sustained as to what he said.
So, did he advise you, or did you become aware that that specific order never went to the pharmacy?
No.
Did you know that this was going on at Mount Carmel, sir? And I'll clear it up if you want me to.
Yeah, I'd take you to.
Did you know that there were some nurses on some occasions were scanning controlled substances and somehow, because of the way their system was set up, it was not going to the pharmacy?
Your Honor, objection, it's assuming facts, not in evidence. We have nothing to support it. What nurses,
Okay.
what dates?
I'm not.
What
Stop.
processes?
Okay, I'll permit the question. Do you understand the question?
No.
Okay.
You don't understand the question.
You asked if I knew or knew that nurses were scanning it and it wasn't going to the pharmacy.
Right.
No,
You had no idea.
no.
Are there not multiple cases here that never went to the pharmacy?
There's multiple cases that was overridden.
No, I'm asking you specifically. We'll get into overrides in a moment. But my question to you, sir, is are you not aware that there are multiple cases here that never went to the pharmacy? A pharmacist never saw the orders.
No.
Do you know which pharmacist approved Troy Allison's dose?
No, not right off the top of my head, no.
You want to check your notes?
It wouldn't be in here. It's on the chart that we got. You say Troy Hollis?
Troy Allison. Yes. Yes, Troy Allison.
It's on the chart that we had. I couldn't tell you, sir.
Okay. Mr. Timmons, do you know if, I kind of already asked you about Mr. Timmons, let me move on. Sandra Castle. Are you aware, sir, as to whether this order ever went to the pharmacy?
Not without looking at the outline that we had.
So you can't testify right now, and you don't have any notes there that would give you that indication?
No, sir.
Okay, that's a compound question. You're gonna go this way,
Yes,
let's
sir.
keep it nice and simple.
I will. This is hard stuff. Now, sir, what about Jeremiah Hodge? Are you aware as to whether that dose ever went to the pharmacy?
No, I'm not.
And it's your testimony that the fact that orders were that controlled substances were being given with no pharmacy approval was ever an issue in this case?
We looked into this from the override system. Okay? What you're talking about, to be honest with you, I don't know what you're talking about. I know the nurses scanned the medication in. It was never told to us that it bypassed completely the pharmacist. I mean, it was explained to us that they scan it, it goes to the pharmacist, they wait for approval. If they don't get the approval, then at sometimes the defendant would tell them, just go ahead and override the system, and they'd get the medications out.
Okay. Do you remember speaking to a Wesley Black?
Yes,
Okay. Mr. Black is a nurse, right?
correct.
Okay. And he was involved in a couple of these cases, right?
Walls and Penix, yes.
Okay. Now, Walls is one there. Did he not, or do you recall whether he informed you that...
Objection, hearsay.
Did you learn
Use
from...
the I word,
I'm sorry.
use the I word, inform.
Were you informed?
You can't use that word.
You just told me to use it.
No, I said you used it, that's why she objected.
Oh, okay. You become aware, sir, after speaking to Mr. Black, that the Miss Walls' case bypassed the pharmacy review.
If you're asking me if it was overridden, then yes.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
I don't know then.
Okay. Counsel. I misspoke. It was on Ms. Penix
Okay.
while discussing that. May I approach the witness to refresh his recollection?
Can something refresh your recollection?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll show you the transcript I highlighted for you.
Okay.
Can I get that back?
Yeah, you said you did bypass it.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that there were orders being entered that bypassed the pharmacy review, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's get into overrides. Okay, because I think there might be a little confusion. You're aware that in this process, the way it's supposed to work is the doctor gives the order, the nurse gets the medication, or enters the medication order, pharmacy reviews, then the nurse gets the medication from the Pixis machine, right?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This has been asked and answered a while ago.
I'm using it to set up my question.
Okay, I'll give you a little leeway. It's transition, but let's get to the point.
Now, you became aware, sir, that on a number of occasions, what was happening was prior to the pharmacist reviewing the order, the nurses were overriding the Pixis machine, right?
Correct.
Is that a yes?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, that still allowed the pharmacist to see the order later on, correct?
After it had been administered, yes.
Yes. And they could approve it either prospectively, which means before the dose is given, right?
Correct.
Okay. Or retrospectively after it's given, correct?
Correct.
There's also the ability to do it simultaneously, meaning the nurse is entering in the order and they're reviewing it basically at the same time. Correct? Is that a yes?
Correct.
Okay. So when you speak of overrides, we're talking about orders that actually got to the pharmacy but were overridden before the pharmacist got to approve them, correct?
Correct.
But you also learned that they could still approve them retroactively, right?
Right.
Now, if there was a problem with the dose amount, the pharmacist could file a complaint, bring it up the chain, right?
Objection, Your Honor, outside the scope of his knowledge.
Did you come to find out, sir, that a pharmacist could complain?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the very first time a pharmacist ever complained was Jeffrey Timmons.
Yeah, James Timmons.
And that was a dose that never went to the pharmacy, right?
Okay, that's been asked and answered
Okay.
a couple times.
Did you find out that it was a nurse who brought it to Talon Schroeder's attention? That Mr. Timmons, the Timmons order, yes. That's how we found out about that order.
The Schroyer?
Yes.
If I could look at my
Go ahead.
summary here.
Sure.
Okay, and you're talking about the 1,000 micrograms, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you say a nurse brought it to his attention?
Correct. What are you referring to, if I can ask? What are you looking at?
Summary number 11?
Okay. And that's,
Whoa. He was refreshing his memory. Let's not go off on another tangent until you get that part done.
the document that you're using to refresh your recollection is basically your summary of what the interview was.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
All right. But you knew in anticipation for your testimony today that you would have to review all these statements, not just the summary, right?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sir, did you review the whole statements of what your interviews were?
Objection, asked and answered also.
It has been sustained.
Okay. Is the fact that a nurse
Hold on.
brought it to...
Stop for a second. Can you get done in the next 3 minutes?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that answer. Okay? But I have a promise I have to honor.
I'm thanking goodness they're behind the plexiglass.
We're going to stop for the day. Go ahead and have a seat. Relax for a second. You can step off there. I have to talk to Jerry about something. Okay. Remember my earlier instructions? Detective? Detective? Remember my earlier instructions to you, they're still in force.
Yes, Judge.
Okay? Let's talk about two things, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? I'm about ready to go to bat for a switch of courtroom. Okay? I'm gonna look at you all first, because you guys, I mean, these guys can adapt to me. You guys, I've got you here. Is this so bad that you want to switch courtrooms? Or can you live with it?
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, it's the back row that I'm more concerned about. We got rid of the plexiglass up front, even though I got the structure. Back row, talk to me.
I'm fine.
You're fine? Okay. I'm going to explore still to see what my options are. Okay? So I'll report back tomorrow. The other thing I want to talk about, we got into some testimony about a concept called subsequent remedial measures. Okay? The change in policy. Okay? Generally, you can't consider culpability issues on that the hospital did something wrong. That's not permitted under the rule. There may be other reasons you can consider it, and we haven't gotten to those yet. But since the state of Ohio doesn't have a chance to redirect at this point in time, and I'm sending you home, I don't want that to get in your head that something's wrong here. You can't consider it for that purpose. You can consider it for other purposes, and I'll go over that later. But as to culpable state of mind, no. Understood? Now that's a complex legal concept. I tried to get it down. But the bottom line here is, you know it happened, just you can't consider why right now. Okay? Fair enough? Anything on the record on that?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Well, you're not on the floor.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, remember the admonitions. We're going to get started at 9 in the morning. No sleeping in, folks. Okay? I'm just going to have my phone on. I brought you a cake, so it's all fair.
That's totally fine, I appreciate that.
Not a problem. Okay, it's particularly important you don't start discussing it, okay? You guys got a long time before you get to that point, okay? With that, David.
All rise.
You guys have a great evening and happy birthday. Second floor. Now, for the people in the audience, that means less of you will be in the room and then you'll be down here watching it on the big screen.
We'll defer to your judgment on that, Your Honor.
Well, I want to see about the possibility of going to 3F, but since the jury is okay right now, I'm probably not going to do it. But I just want to know what my options are for the future. So I was going to give everybody an opportunity to speak up now before I go in there and fight the den of the second floor. Yes, I'm referring to you. Any input? She needs to hear this. Let her have it.
We defer to you, Judge.
Okay?
Your Honor, if it means getting rid of the coffins and the plexiglass or to the furthest extent we can,
That's not an option.
I think really that's the main concern is if the jurors are okay and they could hear, then I think there's not really an issue at that point. I think it's really just a matter of preference and deference to the court, then, if we can't get rid of at least the second, I know you said it was structural, right? So if we can't get rid of it and it's another courtroom, I don't know.
Well, I got a hammer and a sledge that I can go at it. You didn't hear that, by the way. That's something you should know. No, this morning they were complaining, and you guys were better about getting your voices up. Okay, they didn't complain now when I put them on the spot. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna get feedback behind the door, so I'm gonna talk to her about what my options are, okay? And she can yell at me then.
Will we still have 2 tables for each side then?
Well, that's another issue. That's a no, I see.
Well, are you thinking, you said 3F, but that's what Judge Brown is. You mean 6F?
I don't mind kicking them out.
Well, that's a different conversation, I bet.
Well, I don't mind having that with them.
6F?
No, I was thinking 6F. They put down 3F, I told them 6F.
You can fit 4 tables, it's, it's tight.
It's gonna be tiring what you're in now.
Well, I would prefer the setup we have now then.
Okay.
I would agree, Your Honor.
Okay, well, I'm gonna see what I can get away with in here.
All right, sir.
Okay?
Are we excused, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh.
9 o'clock promptly, guys. Don't come in at 9 and we're setting up for 10 minutes. Let's get rolling.
We do have one issue, well, 2 issues. Dr. Hagris will be testifying via Zoom. At this point, we may be taking him out of order, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Hagris, he's in Egypt. Okay, because he has to start it because he's 7 hours behind us, or ahead of us, I forget. But at any rate, we have to have a time set.
It would currently be 10:30 their time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Dr. Ely is our first expert. We have him scheduled for Monday. He's very concerned about being away from his ICU for too long. He's requested that we do his testimony all in one day, which, if that's all we do that day, I think it's doable, but just if we could inquire about everybody, if we could stay late that night, so he can get on a plane that night and get home, instead of having to make him spend an extra night here in Columbus.
Okay, I will discuss this, because I told the jury we went till 5. I will discuss it with the jury and explain the circumstances, that we have a witness coming in, that he needs to get back to his business, and would they be willing to stick around for a while? I don't have a problem having that discussion with them.
Appreciate it, sir.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Do you have the Zoom link for the witness?
We don't yet. We're not doing them tomorrow morning, are we?
What's that, sir?
We're Zooming tomorrow morning.
That's Friday morning with
Friday
Dr.
morning,
Hagris.
okay.
Yes, we're gonna need that link.
Well, Darcy's got it, I think.
Okay, oh, Darcy's got it, okay.
If she needs anything, please let us know.
That's, I just, no.
Let's go back and talk.
I think I have a solution, let's go and go, because I sat on it.
Yeah?
Was it your second row juror?
Second row juror.
So, this is gonna be